Happy Death Day and Freaky are among some of my favorite modern horror films. I'm very particular and usually on the fence in terms of horror or thriller comedies. It just needs to hit that sweet spot for it to work for me. And unfortunately, because of that, while I can appreciate the significance of something like Tucker and Dale or Shaun of the Dead, it's just not my preferred type of watch. Christopher Landon is one of the few directors that can make me really look forward to these types of movies. They just have a way of keeping the energy high and usually finish off in such an endearing way. There's a warmth to his movies, despite having some really dark ideas infused as well. And so I was wondering, if he can already blend genres together really neatly, can he make more of a straightforward type of movie? Oh my god, and then you throw in the fact that Gillian Jacobs co-wrote this. I'm such a fan of hers. She's amazing, and one of the biggest crimes was not greenlighting the last season of Love on Netflix. I mean, the ending tidied it up enough, I guess, but still, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's so good, especially if you're a fan of hers. She's the lead in it, and she's amazing in it. So anyway, seeing her have credit for writing this just made me really happy. And so because of that, it made this premise sound so much more interesting just because of how insane it sounds. We follow Violet, who hasn't been on the dating scene in a long time, and now has a date with Henry, and everything seems to be going well. But then she starts getting messages on her phone from an anonymous person.
I want to play a game.
And so then it becomes the most chaotic first date of all time. It's absolutely frightening to imagine being in Violet's shoes. Oh my god, that must be among the most horrifying scenarios to be in. Leaving the date part aside, just being so far away from a loved one that's in danger, and you know they're in danger and yet you're powerless to do anything about it, it's heavy, man. But also, because of the trailer and I guess just my own assumption, I thought that Henry was gonna be basically a nothing character because the story was gonna be solely focused on Violet and her endeavors, but boy was I wrong. Brandon Sklenar is so charming and he's hot. Look at that face. And honestly, the movie could have just made him the naive, gullible punching bag of jokes that ended up getting killed by the end in a comical way, or realized what was going on and had a goofy Tom and Jerry bit of him leaving the date. But no, maybe because of his charisma or whatever, but he was a really significant role and bounced very well off of Megan Fahey. Speaking of which, Megan Fahey delivered such a great performance. She was able to portray such paranoia and fear while still being a funny, clever character that's just trying to figure it all out. I also think it's funny that she also played Daphne in season 2 of White Lotus, she being the bubbly but ignorant girl who was aware of her situation and still choosing to turn a blind eye on like the most toxic man just to keep things going. And both the characters she plays have to withhold information, but obviously in vastly different ways, from surfacing just to prevent chaos from happening. Remember when White Lotus was still good and interesting? And then season 3 happened. Anyway, yeah, she was really solid here. She understood the tone that Christopher Landon wanted, and she was able to realize his vision. Even as her anxiety and unease escalate, you also feel overwhelmed with the situation, because literally every attempt she makes gets foiled like inhumanly fast. Also love that the leads are not only great, but they're also both lefties, and we don't really get much representation on the big screen, so that gave it extra points for me. The pacing of the film is also great, by the way. We don't spend time on pointless montages of first failed dates or anything like that. As soon as the movie starts, we understand what she does for work, we understand her relationship with her son and her sister, who is basically dressed like a minion, are in great shape, and 5 or 10 minutes into the movie, we're already getting ready for the date. So there's not much lag, and the 90-minute runtime feels like a breeze. I also love the creative use of lighting in this movie. Like, there's many times where a character will just randomly get a spotlight on top of them, indicating that this is the character that we're supposed to be focused on. And just in general, the movie looks great. The camera's having a lot of fun, alternating between different angles, different perspectives, and with how restricted of a location we're in, since it's literally basically like a one location type of movie, the camera adds a lot of variety to the movie. And I think that even though there's not much gore in this movie, a story like this doesn't really need that. In fact, I think one of the highlights of the movie are the stunts. Like, bodies are flying at walls, people are being launched over tables, it's all really good stuff. Also, I want to defend the movie because I think people are gonna say that the third act is too much, or it's nonsensical, or it's just not realistic. Look at the premise of this movie. It's clearly fantastical, so the movie's aware of how heightened the concept is, and it's a movie. In the universe of this movie, these things are possible, so if you can't buy into it, it's not gonna really work. So while I'm not in love with what they did in the third act, I'm not gonna criticize it for going off the rails, because going into it, I already had a predetermined idea that the parameter of what what's possible in this movie is really wide. That being said, while I can accept it, I don't love it. I don't think the reveal of the reason is too big for the film. I just feel like it was too disconnected from her, and I would have thought it would have been for some other reason. Hell, you could have made it as simple as she's clearly very wealthy. I mean, we saw that house at the beginning of the movie, and they just want to steal her money or something like that. But you kind of have to take a leap of faith with this one for the reason that they tell you. Also, while the tension is constantly high, I thought it was kind of ridiculous that as soon as a thought or idea registered in her mind, that's how fast she'd receive a message to basically foil that thought. So I kept thinking, oh my god, it's gotta be like a supercomputer that's sending her these messages, because she really can't even move like a finger after a thought has crossed her mind before she gets that text saying, no, you can't do that. And clearly with how the third act plays out, there's no concept of time in this movie, because no car would move that fast. And lastly, while Henry is this charismatic, charming dude, I just wish he wasn't so gullible. Especially with the context that we're given later on in the movie, he should be operating at a different IQ level than the one he does throughout the entirety of the movie. All in all, it's a big dumb movie, but it's a big dumb fun movie that doesn't just try and say, yeah, airplane mode would have resolved this. It's a thriller that never feels flat and does what it sets out to do. I mean, if that last shot with the toy car doesn't scream to you how goofy this movie is, because that's literally like the funniest part of the entire movie. Which, by the way, that poor boy's trauma, his mommy issues are basically the baseline for how he's gonna become like the next Norman Bates. The movie gives you an outrageous scenario and says, let's have fun with it. And it's a fun one-time watch with not much rewatchability, but that's just the nature of whodunit type of movies. But that's it for me. I'd appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe, and sincerely yours, Anthony.